Hey YouTube viewers and Star Wars fans, I hope you've all been well. This is Vagabond Warrior 2608 here, and for those of you who don't know, I've updated my channel's title from Vagabond Samurai for a new theme on my channel that I've been wanting to test out for a while. This is nothing's really going to change much other than maybe the front cover title and also a few new extended content that I'm going to start adding onto this channel coming real soon this year, such as potentially more tech reviews as well as potentially more book reviews and other type of discussions that I want to bring out to you guys. So if you all can, before we get on to today's video, please leave a like and share this content to help out with getting more people involved into this type of topics if anyone's interested, as well as subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date when this channel has more new content coming for you all. Thank you all for watching, and let's begin with today's video. So today's video is going to be about the discussion of Star Wars The Bad Batch from 2021 to 2024 of this year. The main discussions that I want to talk about is mostly about kind of some minor changes that was added into the story for the overall Star Wars canon content, as well as a few other minor changes that was added into it. So today I was wanting to discuss about mostly a few stuff involving combination of season 1 to season 3. The main stuff I want to discuss about first, if we start off with this, is the sudden changes with Kanan Jarrus, aka Caleb Doom's background story in the canon. For those of you who know or don't know, Kanan originally had a canon comic series that was originally supposed to be his background story, which was introduced, I assume, if memory serves, back in 2014 to 15, if I'm correct. If not, then I'm pretty sure any of you may know it more than I would. So feel free to leave it in the comment if anyone wants to further discuss about it. But we also know for a fact that Kanan was a part of Order 66 and lost his master, Depa, if I may have said that name correctly. And we also know for a fact that Kanan survived at the hands of clones who knew that Order 66 was something that was not right to them. So the clones immediately helped him escape, and he went into hiding for a while. But we also know that they made some changes with it being the Bad Batch this time, rather than it being just the clones who previously helped them. I think that the only major change that was brought into this was the only reason so they can give Kanan's story a little bit more of a visual in-depth for our viewing purpose, as well as also getting to see more of how Kanan's interaction with the clones were before he meet up with some, being Rex, Wolf, Gregor in Star Wars Rebels. We also know that Kanan also, as far as we know, is still going to be having his own main backstory, but we don't know completely. Maybe that might be changed. Maybe he'll have a completely new backstory as time goes on, but only time will tell. The only other thing that I think I had a small dislike was the fact that it was just another way to just bring in original content and remake it from their already made source. So maybe some writers at Disney wanted to change up some stuff just for the sake of continuing certain characters and so on to have it into the overall main canon, especially when we already know the Bad Batch originally may or may not have played a participating role in Order 66. A lot of canon comics that may have covered topics like that stormtrooper force that was originally kind of based off of the Bad Batch, but we don't know much of some of them, or maybe they did. I haven't really stayed up to date with some of it, but there is some extra extended sources that may end up being covered with the Bad Batch. We also know for a fact that the one thing that I did actually enjoy was more character development through characters like Crosshair and his journey from being the lone wolf but team player kind of character to now being more of a lone wolf and wanting to still take orders. You know, the good soldiers follow orders motto he was going by, like so many others at these moments. Crosshair was one of the biggest reasons why the Bad Batch, in my opinion, was still done successfully well. He alone was what was keeping the story motivated into kind of like Vader, Anakin Skywalker moments, except this was from a clone's perspective, especially for those who, especially, well, I mean, we never got too much knowledge on what happened with clones during Order 66 timeline, like the last days of the Clone War. So this is one good change that I actually think was very well established and made for the entire story. The other stuff what I liked and enjoyed was also the fact that they were bringing some other clone characters involved into the dramatic change, but sadly the Bad Batch story didn't really shine into so many of them, but that'll be a discussion for a later time. But we did get to see more unique clone characters, such as like Captain Hauser, Captain Rex return and interactions with the Bad Batch, and the potential clone rebellion alliance. And for those who have seen and didn't see, or those who are aware, we already know that half of this was a remake from the original sources of Legends, which was Star Wars Battlefront 2, the classical era. And we also know for a fact that half of this was kind of like building up to how like the clones were fighting against the Empire at these moments, but we know some wouldn't survive on, especially considering we barely saw any of them during the Rebels timeline going into uh, Rogue One to the original trilogy timeline, but that could be all re-edited, and some of them could just ended up going quiet and going into their own locations, but that is all for another discussion, once again, for another time. But we also were still introduced to characters like Omega, who was playing a somewhat larger role with the clones, being like the first and or only female among the clone troopers, along with her later brought into the story other sister, the clone scientist, female scientist. I'm sorry if I forgot her name. It's I forget her name, but you may know who I'm referring to. She also was playing a role with the Bad Batch to kind of help further enhance the characters, but we also know for a fact that they originally want to bring in the idea that Omega, once again, trying to keep this spoiler free, may have special abilities that some of the clones may not have. Since we know also Omega and Boba, who also was known to them as Alpha, was also supposed to maybe have some higher abilities than regular clone troopers that I guess the Kaminoans, sorry if I said that wrong, had also wanted to alter them to give them their own unique ability. So maybe Omega's character arc and story will still continue, but in another time. Maybe she could even meet up with ones like Dr. Aphra from the comics and so on. Or she may make an appearance in the upcoming series, The Skull Squadron, if I'm saying it correct, the new series that's going to be airing on Disney Plus real soon. And we also know for a fact that a few other changes that may or may not have been too good that I still want to bring into light. Now, once again, for those of you who didn't see the rest of the story, I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory, so I'm giving you fair warning now to leave the video, maybe check out some more content on my channel, or check out other videos from other sources. So 3, 2, 1, let's go. We already know they did some major character changes with ones like Asajj Ventress, as we last were originally supposed to hear. Ventress was originally supposed to be dead in the Clone Wars during the time when her, like, for those who read Dark Disciple, the novel, the originally, I guess, still canon novel. If not, it may be a second universe's canon, something like that. But we already know that Ventress doesn't, well, she died originally, but there's no questioning that she may or may not have still went through that kind of story arc within the canon still. It seems as if they wanted to just hammer in to get us to see that Ventress more likely was just doing other stuff like bounty hunting, maybe being a mercenary, hired sword and all, just at the moments while all the other stuff was unfolding, which could be possible, but once again, I'm not 100% sure on it. So we also know that she wanted to see and test if Omega also had some kind of force sensitive abilities, which we also see she kind of doesn't. But once again, could be something that could be brought up in a later time. But it's like this: if Omega has it, there's a chance Boba could have it. But this may go back into the whole metachlorians and all, but that's once again something for another time to discuss about. But we also know for a fact that Omega, kind of similar to like Ezra Bridger and so many other characters like Ahsoka Tano, how she also has a strong connection with like animals just as much as kind of like Ezra did, but and Ahsoka. But we also know that it may or may not be force sensitivity, but it could be something else entirely. But we also know that it was proven wrong in kind of the final season, season 3, that she was kind of not having force sensitive abilities displayed. But we also know for a fact that uh, she was still supposed to be somewhat connecting to like the future arcs in Star Wars, such as like with uh Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, Snow. So her ability and powers were kind of supposed to be what played a hand in the connection to them. The same as like Grogu, also otherwise known as Baby Yoda. But the other thing I would like to discuss about, and this may be for my own opinion, but the clone assassin group that was made to that was supposed to be hunting down Omega and the Bad Batch, I actually did find them a little bit enjoyable. The only thing I didn't like, once again, was how when we had got to the point of Tech, one of our fan favorite characters who had met his sad, unfortunate ending, they could have had it to where maybe one of the clones could have been Tech, like the main assassin that was almost trying to kill Crosshair, trying to execute him, I mean. But we don't know if that directly was Tech or just a whole another clone in general, which I like to believe was just that. They were just a whole bunch of other type of unit they were just bringing in. And we also saw that they had other ones, so they were kind of supposed to be like Hemlocks, Ham Malik's. Sorry, the clone, the Imperial scientist who was the one who got them made and also trained. We also know that they were just supposed to be like, I guess, foreshadowing the Knights of Ren and maybe the later coming up Inquisitors and all. But once again, I'm not 100% sure on all that. But also, and I know for like other fans, the disappointing act that happened when it came to the Clone Commandos, especially Scorch. Personally, I agree. I don't think that his death was well done completely. I feel like there could have been a little more of a push that him and the clone assassins could have been pushing the Bad Batch to their limit at the last minute. But at the same time, I do believe that his death and Hamlock's death was still very well done, considering that they were mostly at this moment just more prequel characters that was for the entire story as a whole. But then again, there are other ways that characters like them could have been well established into their own, them being just major boss fights for them overall. But I also think that some of the clones as we know, are supposed to have bigger roles, like Cody, for example, Commander Cody, and he may end up returning other projects. Now there is this Tales of the Empire series, or I forget, but there's supposed to be a new series supposed to come up soon, and he may return there or may not. I'm not 100%. I'm not clear. It's not clear on that matter, but at the same time, we also know for a fact that Cody still is supposed to play a role in between these timelines, between Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars Rebels. Maybe he'll just retire off and show up later down the line, kind of like pulling like in Star Wars Tales of the Empire with ones like Barriss Offee. So this is just all, once again, speculated opinions and other stuff that I want to just come up with. But it was also very enjoyable to see ones like Fennec Shade and Cad Bane on screen, which, once again, I want to discuss a little more about Cad Bane. As we also know, Cad Bane was a character who was originally meant to be killed off in before the final season of the Clone Wars, but I guess once again they want to keep him alive just for future later stories, which we already know how he meets his end on Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett, so that we already know. So maybe he'll just have more in between stories in that time period before it gets to that point. But once again, all this is just my opinions on what I think of the Bad Batch. If it was good or bad for anyone, it's just up for your own interpretation onto it. But overall, I give the story a solid 8 out of 10 from beginning to end, especially for the character developments, like what we said with Omega and the Bad Batch, like Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and that also includes Tech, who was, as far as we've seen, one of the only Bad Batch who died. But we also know for the fact that Wrecker and Crosshair was still alive, but we didn't see them in the time skip that was supposed to lead up to potentially the original trilogy timeline, where we see Omega and Hunter and her pet Nyla having their one last discussion onto that planet. But overall, it was a good story, and it did have a lot of good character developments with new ones and returning faces and all. Maybe some other characters like Asajj will have a larger story down the line. Maybe she'll show up in Tales of the Empire, but only time will tell. But I hope you all enjoyed hearing this video discussion about Star Wars The Bad Batch and the finale, and I try to keep this as much spoiler free as possible, but if I may have said too much, then that's just how this video I just was thinking of to make. But overall, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If once again you could all leave a like on this video and share this content to help out the channel, and share it with people that'll be interested into this video discussion as well, and also subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date with this channel. And also feel free to leave a comment if there's any extra constructive feedback. And let's get this community up and going on to both my channel, and let's share this with others that also will be interested in more of this. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and if you want to check out more content that I'm going to be making down the line, feel free to check out the links in my bio to my other social media accounts. And until next time, see you all, Star Wars fans and YouTube viewers. Have a wonderful day, and see you next time.